Well, an official good afternoon and welcome to all of you. It is just a joy to see so many familiar, friendly, wonderful faces all in the same place, and to people I haven't met in person yet but are here on the screen, welcome to you as well. It's great to see all of you. And I should say bonjour as well and bienvenue. Merci d'être ici ensemble, tous rassemblés aujourd'hui. I'd like to begin this meeting by acknowledging, as we always do, that we're gathered here together on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Oji-Cree, the Dakota and Dene people, and the traditional homeland of the Métis. Every time we acknowledge this truth, it's an invitation and an opportunity to reflect on what we are doing and what else we can do to make Manitoba a better and more fair and just place for everybody who lives here. And I'll acknowledge as well that our water is sourced from Treaty 40, Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, in Ontario. And we're very thankful for that water. And we need to remember that to this day, far too many nations continue not to have the safe drinking water that they deserve. Mindfulness is one of the ways that we express our values here of collaboration, hospitality, excellence, and respect. It's a way of being and a way of interacting with one another that helps us to be present and person-centered. And this is why we often start our meetings with an opportunity to arrive, a mindful moment. It gives us an opportunity to pause, to set aside any thoughts of the past or the future, and gives us the permission, if you will, to bring our full attention to this moment, to the time that we're sharing together. So please join me in a mindful moment. Make yourself comfortable, feel yourself in your chair, and allow yourself a few moments to breathe and arrive. Okay, thank you very much. So I'd like to ask that if you haven't already, that you please take a moment to make sure that your real name is in the label of the little box that your picture is in. And to do that, as Jen had mentioned earlier, you just click the three dots beside your name, and you can click rename. So you can add your first and last name, add your pronouns if you wish. And if you're watching in a group, please rename to the service area team that you're a part of. So today we're going to hear a few updates on strategic projects. We'll see a few videos to help us feel connected to one another. And I'll share some corporate updates, and we'll have a little bite-sized learning. We'll also leave some room for questions at the end of the meeting. And to kick us off, I would like to invite Debbie Scora, our Interim Manager of Case Management, to talk about our new case management service for families of children with autism. Debbie.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, Jen, am I sharing my own screen? No, Jen is sharing her screen. All right. Okay. Do you want to put that as, there we go. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm excited to share a bit of information about this new program that we're offering at St.Amant. And at the end, there'll be some time for questions. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So first of all, we can move to the next slide. What is case management? So case management is helping a family plan, advocate, and connect to available services. The caseworker acts as a service navigator, helping to identify needs and connect families with resources. The caseworker provides the family with information to assist with planning and provides support and advocacy from diagnosis until adulthood. The service has historically been done by the province. Their caseworkers are called community service workers, or CSWs. In April of 2022, the Manitoba government announced $5 million in new funding for children's disability services. The purpose of the new funding is to increase access to therapies for children with disabilities and to strengthen supports for children and youth with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, and their families in Manitoba. The province has chosen St.Amant to deliver case management services for children diagnosed with autism. So why would we take this on? There are many connections to our mission, vision, and values. Our strategic plan describes our vision for innovation by stating that St.Amant works in partnership to address unmet needs in our community by creating new services and developing more holistic, person-centered supports. Our goals are that people have the best possible health, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and cultural. As we get to know people and learn how to best support them, we make a conscious effort to know the whole person and all of their needs. We also want people to have access to person-centered supports where and when they need them. We take direction from the person, we honor choice, and support only where needed, asking rather than assuming. St.Amant's objectives are to identify service gaps and ways to increase access to services for our community, and to build partnerships with other service providers to clarify roles, reduce redundancy, and strengthen our community. St.Amant's strategic plan also describes our vision for capacity building by stating that St.Amant recognizes it has a leadership role and responsibility in demonstrating and promoting evidence-based practices in the broader community. Our goal is that our partnerships have built capacity to thrive in a changing environment. We prioritize our commitment to partnership and to meeting community needs as identified. We've identified an objective of leading the coordination of services and creating seamless supports with all service providers and other stakeholders in Manitoba. Taking on case management services also aligns with our values of collaboration, hospitality, excellence, and respect. And finally, we are experienced in providing a wide range of compassionate, flexible, and high-quality services to families of children and youth with ASD. Can move to the next slide. So case management service will operate within clinical services. Case management will be distinct from autism programs and will serve all families, no matter what therapy choices they make for their children. Next slide. So as part of clinical services, case management will fall under Interim Director Mandy Newhook. As Ben mentioned earlier, I'm Debbie Scora. I'm the interim manager for the case management program. And we're currently in the process of recruiting a team of registered social workers to fill 20 caseworker positions. And we're interviewing and making offers as we speak, and it's going very well. We are also hiring 2 admins, and 1 has already accepted, so that's exciting news too. Next slide. So services will cover anybody in Manitoba who's eligible for children's disability services and who wants a caseworker. Services will transfer over from children's disability services to St.Amant in phases, beginning with families in the Western region, as well as families currently on the Children's Disability Services waitlist in Winnipeg. Exact timing will depend on our recruitment and our training. In total, we expect to support between 2,500 and 3,000 families through the new service once the transition is complete. So we're committed to working with families and to learning from them throughout the process. And yeah, we can open it up for questions if anybody has questions about the new service.
I feel like after supporting you and Mandy through like numerous presentations, I should have been better at that PowerPoint. So apologies.
No problem.
Debbie, that was great. Thank you very much. And Jen, good job clicking. So well done to you too. But especially Debbie, I want to say thank you to you and to Mandy and the entire project team for so much hard work to get to this place, to engage with families, to really listen to their questions and provide comfort and reassurance where that was possible. So thank you very much for that. And with your permission, I will suggest that we save all the questions to the end. So the final section of our time together will all be about questions. If any questions come to mind right now that you're wondering about with respect to Debbie's presentation or any other, please put them in the chat if that will help you to make sure you don't, forget the question partway through. But I look forward to answering all your questions or having one of my colleagues answer them at the end of our time together. All right. So now I'd like to invite Jen Rodrigue, our Director of Communications and Corporate Services, to talk about a new intranet and app for St.Amant. Jen, over to you.
Thanks, Ben. So I'm gonna try to share my screen again here. Okay. Can everyone see that intranet? Yeah, okay. Great. Well, I'm really excited to be able to bring this update to you all today. Currently, we have a St.Amant intranet that you might know as My St.Amant. And the St.Amant intranet mostly helps us share information. So we share news, corporate updates, events, job postings, trainings, some celebrations. And this information is really meant to help improve your experience as an employee and to support staff engagement. So why do we need to change? Our intranet's pretty okay, I think. Well, communication was identified as a strategic priority within our current strategic plan. And so what we heard when we, when we're developing any strategic plan, we go out and we ask people what they think St.Amant should focus on, where our priorities should be. So in the course of that engagement for this current strategic plan, what we heard from employees was that communication is a really important tool for building trust and relationships. And so we know that there are many gaps with our current intranet. And that if we were able to address those gaps, we could potentially improve our internal communication, the overall experience of being an employee at St.Amant, which will hopefully lead to better engagement and staff retention. And so some of the gaps that were identified were around relationships. So building relationships and connection with our fellow colleagues. We know that employees want to be able to stay connected even if they aren't working in the same space or at the same time on the same shift. Equity in access. So currently the intranet is hard for people who don't work on a regular basis at a computer to access. And that's the majority of our employee group. A lot of people are not sitting at a computer all day. We know that people want, there's not a lot of opportunity for conversation and listening on our current intranet. So we don't have lots of ability for staff to initiate conversations, to join in on conversations, or to engage in quick surveys or polls or just to sort of initiate content on our current intranet. And then there's collaboration. So our intranet doesn't really support groups to work together. So it's really a portal to be like sharing one-way communication. And so as an example, right now we can't create groups to say plan a picnic or create a space for committees to work together. And so there's not really a great opportunity as well for people to work like at different times. So it's like either you're participating in something when it's happening, or you've kind of missed out on it. And so we're hoping that with a digital tool, we can support that ability for people to contribute and participate at different times. So a new St.Amant intranet. Over the past year, the intranet project team, which has been led by the communications team, Danielle, Chris, and Dominique, and supported with project management support from Chantal, they researched and tested many, many different intranet solutions to try to find ones that would meet the needs that were identified. And once they were able to narrow it down to just a couple of options, they invited a group of people from across the organization to test both of those options. And there was a really clear winner. So this is, I feel like there should have been a drum roll, but Blink was the winner from all of that research. And so that's the name of the company. They provide intranet services to other healthcare, social service type organizations with really big, diverse and dispersed staff. So they've got experience with our kind of organization. And this intranet will be available on desktop the way our intranet currently is available. And then it will also be available through an app, which is like a fully functioning app rather than kind of a hot link to the desktop version. And so what that means is that anyone will be able to download that app to their device, and then you'll be able to access the information without having to remote in to St.Amant. So if you're out and about for your day, you're not always sort of at your desktop, or if you don't work at a desktop, you'll be able to access it in that way pretty easily. So the new tool looks a lot more like typical social media that we would be using and familiar with. And so we expect that it will be quite familiar. It adds quite a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of opportunity to like add a GIF or add an image or like share a reaction to something similar to the way that you would using social media. There's lots of opportunity for connecting. And so there's a social wall and there's chat groups. So it's going to be a lot of new ways to interact with the people that you work with. And then you'll also be able to see information from the organization tailored to yourself. So each specific employee will be able to sort of follow their program area and maybe their specific team, and then also a committee that they might be involved in, or very specific content that they're like that you're really interested in. You'll be able to sort of tailor your news feed, for lack of a better word, to what you're really interested in. And every employee will be assigned to groups. So like we said, you'll be assigned to your regular sort of program or service group. And then from there, you will also be assigned to other things within the organization that you're either interested in or that you are a member of. So if you're part of the health and safety committee, there might be a group for that. If you're part of staff appreciation, there might be a group for that. If you've volunteered to go to Falcon Lake to sell tickets for the fish off, which, by the way, I think they need some volunteers. There could be a group for that to keep people up to date on what's happening, even like throughout the day. But then it wouldn't be shared with everybody. So if that's not something you're interested in, you're not going to be bogged down with updates from those groups. So there's really just a ton of features. Some of the ones, so things that we were looking for in selection as well were, of course, privacy and security, accessibility. We were looking for, this app has the ability to translate. So if you would prefer to read content in a different language, they have a bank of languages where I'm not sure. I'm not going to vouch for the quality of the translation. I think it'll be much like Google Translate tools where it'll get you by, but there will be that opportunity. So yeah, there's way too many tools to sort of talk about here today. And so implementation. So as with any change, implementation will take a little bit of time. So what they've estimated for us is between 6 and 8 weeks to get up and running. And that starts from this week. I think we'll be having our initial kickoff meeting in a couple days. And then we need to move all of our resources and information from our current intranet into the new platform. And then we need to build out, some of the new tools and functionality that we'll be using. And then we also need to assign employees to groups. So throughout this process, we will be looking for people to test the new intranet and the app and to give us feedback as to what's working, how things look, and then also to tell us what more you would like to see, what would be really meaningful for you in your job. So keep your eye out for those invitations. They will be coming in the next number of weeks and throughout the implementation. So that's all I have for you today. We're really excited about this tool. I think it's going to be a really innovative and easy and fun way to engage and interact together. And again, I just want to say huge thanks to the project team and to all the folks who helped to test the different apps and intranets and who gave us really good feedback up to this point.
Okay, Jen, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. I have tried Blink out. It really is a lot of fun. And if I can learn to use it, anyone can learn to use it. So looking forward to seeing how that tool is going to help us to feel more connected and find new ways of sort of supporting a good, healthy culture within our organization. So before we invite Melanie Forbes to share some bite-sized training, let's take a look at a day in the life of a support worker. And Chris, I believe, has a video queued up for us.
I'm Miriam Utubu. I'm a community residential support worker. I've been working with Bonnie for over a year plus, almost 2 now. I like the fact that I'm able to build a relationship with the person I support. I understand her well. I know whenever anything she needs at any time because I build a good relationship with her. And yeah, it's just give me happiness when I see her happy also. Yeah, taking care of them, even if they can't tell you anything, there's just a reward you feel inside of you about this job. So I'm just always happy doing it. When I'm coming here, I'm always excited. I feel like home. Okay, we're going for music therapy. Yeah, it's another home, St.Amant Home, where we meet lots of friends and enjoy music. Yeah, Bonnie loves it a lot. You see her dancing. Hi. we were just finishing music therapy. It was fun. Now we're going for out and about. Yeah, that's where we'll be today because we have some activities there we want to do, like playing puzzles, painting, things like that. A lot of fun. That's what we'll be doing today, and we'll meet lots of our friends. Yeah. Bonnie, are you excited? Yeah. You're gonna have fun, right? Yeah, I'm excited also. Yeah. That's the major reason why I really like this job, because I've been taking care of people, and when I see them happy, I'm always very happy. So it's just something like, it's just a passion in me. So I just take care of them like they're mine. So yeah.
You want to really start?
Thank you indeed. Isn't that what we're all here to do? Is to support people to have a good life in every sense. So I want to say thank you very much to Miriam and to Bonnie for allowing Dominique to capture their day and share it with all of us. Thank you so much for that great video. Now, I would like to invite Melanie Forbes, Training and Development Facilitator, to share some learning on meaningful connections. Mel?
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, that video was amazing. I love that. Let me just share my presentation here. So I have a really short presentation all about the this training tool called the MSNA Toolkit. So I want to talk today about meaningful connections and about this tool, the MSNA Toolkit, and how you can use them to help the people we support build relationships. So I'm sure many of you know St.Amant has been committed to supporting people with friendships and meaningful connections. We know that many people experience isolation and loneliness, and this has just gotten worse with the pandemic. One of our strategic goals was to support everyone to have at least 2 unpaid relationships in their life. And as a part of that project, we've been offering training called Meaningful Connections. So these tools that I'm going to talk about today are a part of that training, and they're called the MSNA Toolkit, which stands for Maastricht Social Network Analysis, which is a bit of a mouthful. Basically, it's a set of tools to help analyze a person's social network. This tool was translated from Dutch to English by our research team and has been used for a couple of years in different areas at St.Amant. I have a short video that explains the tools, but first let's talk about why we use them. So the purpose of these tools is to help us better understand the people we support. So whether you're a support provider, a parent, a tutor, a clinician, we all want to understand and meet the needs of the people we care about. These tools can help new people in the person's life know who's important to them and how they can support their relationships. I know everyone here understands the struggle of constant staff turnover. I know that's been a big issue within our entire sector for a long time now. In an ideal world, we would have stable, solid teams that, people that know the person really well, who know who their friends and family are, and just know what they need to do to support those relationships. But the reality is that we have this turnover that happens all the time, right? And we can't wait 3 to 6 months for every new staff member to get to know the person before they start helping them to maintain their relationships. They need to be able to do that work right from day one. So that's where the tools of the MSNA kit can help. A new staff can look at the ID card or the circle of supports, and they can easily see who's important to the person and what they need to do to help them stay connected. We all know that relationships take effort, some more than others maybe. I want to invite everyone to think about a relationship in your life and how you engage with that relationship? Or how do you contribute? How do you stay connected and have that give and take with your friend or whoever it might be? So go ahead and put some thoughts in the chat, different things you do. Could be like as simple as texting a friend, maybe making plans to get together for coffee with a coworker or a mentor, something like that. So put a couple things in the chat that you like to do when you're connecting with people. I know it takes a minute to like think and then type. Be intentional and make plans. Yeah, absolutely. I put like a reminder in my phone, like text a friend. Oh, I forget. I'm not the greatest friend. See people in person, share posts on social media. Yeah, comment on each other's pictures and experiences. Monthly brunch, love that. Take turns hosting, enjoy a meal together, FaceTime with people, celebrate milestones, going to the movies. This is amazing. We could probably spend all afternoon just going through this list. Our job is to help the people that we're supporting do these things, right? Get together for dinner, go to a sporting event together, not just go to soccer, but be a part of that team, right? Make sure that you have like the transportation and money to be able to go out and get beers after the soccer game if that's what the rest of the team is doing, right? To really participate in those things. So that's our job, is to help people develop and maintain their relationships. And that's what these tools are intended to do, to help you to be able to accomplish that goal. So I have a little video. Let me cue it up here. And let me know in the chat if it doesn't stream nicely. I'm going to stream from my computer here, so we shall hope for the best. Oh, now I lost my menu. Sorry, folks. I'm going to stop my share and just do a new share. That's what will work for me today. All right. I'm gonna do this one. Are we seeing this video here? I'm having some trouble with this share. Let me minimize this. Here we go.
Your Zoom screen.
Okay, third time should work. Let me know here if this doesn't work out okay.
Let's learn about the Maastricht Social Network Analysis, also known as the MSNA Toolkit. As a part of your Meaningful Connections training at St.Amant, you are introduced to the MSNA Toolkit. This is a set of tools that can help you understand the person you support, their relationships, and their support needs. You are a part of a team, and you can help to ensure continuity of support, accountability, and a better understanding of what the person you support really values in life. The first tool is the 5-step scale. This is a measurement tool that can be used along with the other tools in the kit. You can adapt this scale to meet the needs of the person you support. For example, maybe they would like to use emoji faces instead of numbers. Get creative and make something that will be meaningful for each person you support. The Satisfaction and Wishes survey is a set of 4 questions that you ask the person. You may need to explain each question or use communication aids such as pictures. For each question, you ask the person to rate their answer using the 5-step scale. Then you ask the follow-up question, what would make this a step up? Sometimes working on relationships can be challenging and take a long time. This survey is a great tool because it has you focused on small, meaningful changes that are achievable. Over time, you should start to see an improvement or a higher score for these questions. A circle of supports and networks is a way to visually map the relationships in a person's life. based on the type of relationship that they hold. In the center circle, you would place the person's anchor relationship. This might be a parent, close friend, or sibling. It is the most important person or people in their life. In the second circle, put the person's friends in meaningful relationships. This could include mentors, close friends, family. In the third circle, put acquaintances. This could be friends that aren't as close, people they see only at work or a specific place, or family they aren't that close with. In the last circle, put paid relationships. This could include support staff, the doctor, or a social worker. It's natural to have fewer people in the inner circles. If the person has no one in their circles, that would be a flag that they need some support and help to work on relationships. The goal is not to move everyone from the circle 4 to circle 1, but instead to see a nice distribution of people throughout the circles. The last tool we have is the ID or identification card. This card lists a person's relationships, where they are on the circle of support, and some other information about what type of relationship it is and how often they connect. As a new staff in a home, you should be able to look at the ID card and see what you need to do to support those relationships to flourish. All of these tools need to be updated regularly. If you notice something is out of date or missing, contact your supervisor and find out how you can help keep it up to date. You can find all of these tools in the person's file on GoldCare. The work of building relationships may take a long time, and that's okay. It's a marathon, not a sprint. These tools can help make sure we don't lose or misplace important information that will help a person meet their goals. Remember that we all need people. Your job is to help the people you support connect to others in a meaningful way. They need strong connections to friends, family, and their communities. Your job is to make sure that that happens. The tools in the MSNA toolkit can help you understand the person, their goals, their values, and their support needs.
All right. So that video kind of explained some of the tools that make up the MSNA toolkit. Now I know that not everyone here today is in a direct support role. There's lots of different types of roles that people hold. It doesn't matter what your connection to St.Amant is. I know that we're all here to help serve the people that we support and to show up every day. We have a number of resources that you can use to help develop these tools. Or that can help you have discussions about meaningful connections and relationships. There's the video that we just watched that's available for people to download, as well as some additional discussion guides and tools that you can access on the internal website. For anyone here today that doesn't have access to that site, please feel free to reach out to us at training@saintamant.ca, and we would be happy to share any of those additional resources with you. Lastly, I just want to invite everyone to have fun with it. These tools are just a starting point. Feel free to get creative and make resources that are going to work for the person that you support, right? That's what they're there for. Or use these resources to enrich your own life and use to help yourself build relationships, right? We all need people, we're a community, and we're here to support one another. So thank you so much for your time today. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we'll save those for later. And if there's any that we don't get to, I'll jot them down and I can connect after today's town hall. All right.
Thanks, Mel. That was great. Well done. The timing of this is perfect, of course, thanks to the support of our foundation and the Réseau Compassion network. We will have for 2 years dedicated resources focused on meaningful connections, and the MSNA tool we just learned about is going to be an excellent resource to help those dedicated staff to make progress in terms of supporting people to have those meaningful connections in their lives. I'm really excited to see where this goes and to see the big difference it will make in the lives of the people that we support. Now, before we move on to the corporate updates, let's take a little look at what our community has been up to over the past few months. And Chris has one more video to share with us.
Feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there is no way you're around it. Everyone falls down sometime, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Hey, some days you wake up and nothing works, you feel surrounded. Gotta give your feet some gravity to get you grounded. Keep good things inside your ears just like the waves and sound it. And just say whatever, cause there is no way you're around it. Everyone falls down sometime, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Chris, for putting that together. Thank you to all of you who had a hand in supporting people to live their best lives. It is so, and thank you to everyone who was just having a good time. You know, that's what we are here to do, okay? And so nice after a few years where we couldn't do that stuff to rediscover and reconnect with what gives us joy. Hard to follow that, but I got some business to talk to you about. So let's move into the last section of our agenda, which is corporate updates. And then we'll open it up for questions. So I'm going to start with a couple of updates that are about the executive team here at St.Amant. So Peter Duff, our acting director of community living projects and partnerships, has announced his retirement effective the end of this month. Peter's been a member of the executive for many years, and all of us respect him and his thoughtfulness and commitment to the values of our organization. He's not leaving us entirely. Starting this spring, he will come back in a non-executive role, where he'll continue to help us make progress on some very important initiatives. So we'll save the long speech for the memo whenever it comes out, but I'll take this opportunity to say thank you, Peter, for all the collegiality and support for the years. And along with that, it's my great pleasure to share with all of you that Amanda Campbell, I don't see Amanda on this, oh yes I do, Amanda Campbell has accepted the permanent role of Director of the Community Residential Program, after serving with great skill for over a year now, well over a year. Amanda's been with St.Amant for over 15 years in a number of roles, including most recently, prior to the acting director role, the role of senior manager in CRP. Her knowledge, her skill, and her determination to continue to improve the quality of people's lives and of our services is exemplary. So congratulations, Amanda. The Manitoba budget was announced yesterday, you might have heard, and there was some very good news for our sector. So Community Living Disability Services received the largest increase to its budget since its inception all the way back in the 1960s. The budget outlines in total over $81 million for the service providers through Community Living Disability Services and Children's Disability Services that will allow us to raise, across the sector rather, to raise the average funded wage rate to $19 an hour, up from the sector-wide average of around $15 an hour currently. So this is good news for our sector and the people that are supported in Manitoba. The news is fresh, right? It just came out yesterday, and we have yet to have discussions with our funders around what this means specifically for St.Amant. So as that news becomes available, we'll share it, at the right time in the right way. But for now, we're very pleased that the people that we support and the staff who support them, were recognized in this budget. So I want to say thank you to everyone here and everyone who's a part of our organization who took time to write, to call, and advocate in other ways to our MLAs and other stakeholders. Clearly, they listened and it made a difference. So thank you. I really hope that you can join us tomorrow at the Tavern United on Pembina in the Canad Inns there to celebrate from 4 till 7 p.m. People we support and their families are very welcome, and it should be a good time because there's something to celebrate for sure. You may have noticed also that St.Amant currently has a recruitment campaign going on throughout the city. We hope that the campaign and this encouraging news from government will help us to attract and retain more talented and caring staff to this organization. Now, along a similar vein, I can report that collective bargaining with most of our unions continues. And bargaining with MGEU Community, so representing our staff group in the community residential program and in some parts of community services, has been ongoing for several months. And bargaining with MGEU Trades and MGEU Support started more recently. All of us in management look forward to continuing and completing a respectful, good faith bargaining process. And I think all of us are hoping for a good resolution to those negotiations as soon as we can. We talk a lot at St.Amant about our core values of collaboration, hospitality, excellence, and respect. And that's because all people have a right to dignity, fair treatment, and to have their gifts and abilities recognized. All of our work is grounded in human rights. And the more we think about our work, the better we understand it. And the more we think about our community, the more we understand what that really means and what it takes. And that's why, alongside our total commitment to supporting the rights of all people with developmental and intellectual disabilities, autism, and acquired brain injury, we are committed to truth and reconciliation, diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, and accessibility. So far, we've provided training or developed training on rights and advocacy. We've got staff committees devoted to social justice in many forms, and more. Our Beyond Limits conference theme this year will be the intersection of disability and other aspects of identity, including cultural background, socioeconomic status, and much more. We've got an accessibility and DEI projects on the go, and we have a Truth and Reconciliation action plan. Very soon, we'll be ready to share that plan more broadly with all of you. We've already started reaching out to friends and colleagues from Indigenous communities for advice and support, and to help form an advisory committee that will guide us in that work. We'll also soon be engaging a DEI consultant to help assess our organization, to help us develop a DEI plan, and to recommend those priority next steps. I'm very pleased to report as well that while we're certainly not perfect by any means, we've worked hard to meet our obligations under the current standards of the Accessibility for Manitobans Act, and we're currently assessing the most recent standard on information and communication. And the commitment that we've always had to meeting our obligations to accessibility at a faster time rate than we are required to is unchanged. Now, all of that work that I've just talked about around accessibility, truth and reconciliation, and DEI, it's not a box checking exercise. We know that we have a lot of work to do and that there's no straight line to get there. The process that we take, the journey that we go through to get there is just as important as the destination that we arrive at. And so we're going to take the time that it takes to listen and to engage with you and all of our stakeholders, and to readjust the plans as we go. Shifting gears a little bit, this week is the last week, or the last call rather, for the Réseau Compassion Network's Inspiration, Exploration, and Green Grant applications. Your grant submissions should be sent to your director to ensure that they're feasible within the grant timelines and within our available resources. We'll then review all the submissions and put forward the ones that we think will have the best chance for success. And I've lost my spot on the page. Here we go. Any submissions that don't go forward to the Compassion Network are shared with the St.Amant Foundation. The Foundation's executive director, Juliette, and her team have been pretty great at figuring out ways to move projects forward. So please don't miss out on this opportunity. I can tell you a little bit also about the River Road housing development. So for anyone who hasn't been to 440 River Road lately, construction has started on what will become 3 new homes on River Road. There's a lot of heavy equipment out there right now, and we expect construction will take about a year. The homes will be operated by the Community Residential Program and will mainly support people who are moving from Health and Transition Services and the Manitoba Developmental Center. Very exciting after years of work to see that underway, and I'd like to thank everyone here who has been involved in moving that forward all along the way. I'm also excited to share that we're getting close to beginning our next strategic planning process. As you saw within the project updates today, St.Amant's strategic plan guides our work over a 5-year period, and we're now in the final year of our current plan. So this is the time to listen to our stakeholders, to monitor trends and services around the world, and to dream big dreams. We hope that every one of you will engage in this process. And as staff who work with people every single day, you know what would make a difference in people's lives, in our community, and how we can improve inclusion and participation for people with disabilities. I look forward to learning from you and to having this conversation in the weeks and months ahead. Speaking of looking ahead, let's take a minute to talk about health and transition services. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the census in HNTS and question where we're going. Well, one thing that's for sure is that our commitment to community living is unchanged, and we'll continue that work in the years ahead. At the same time, we are thinking about how HNTS will meet the unmet needs in our community as they are today. With all of our resources, with the skill and compassion that we have within that part of our organization, we have a real opportunity and a responsibility to help more people. But those conversations take time. They involve you, they involve our funders, they involve other service providers and our board. The pandemic slowed things down, but that work is underway. I look forward to sharing more information and to having more conversations about this work as time goes by. The stabilization renovation, by the way, is pretty well complete. We will be inviting people to tour the space, and we'll host a grand opening for all the donors very soon. So please watch the intranet for more information on that. Now, does anyone want to talk about COVID? Probably not, but I've got a few things I got to say anyways. Can you believe that it's been almost 3 years since we got the news that services and spaces were closing down? In some ways, it feels like it was yesterday, and in a lot of ways, it feels like it's been an eternity. We are seeing signs that we're coming to the end of many remaining restrictions across the organization, but we're not quite there yet everywhere. We're having conversations within each program about how and when we can safely remove the last of the COVID restrictions, and I expect that within program areas where that applies, you'll be having conversations about that pretty soon. Of course, as always, within health and transition services, they will continue to follow shared health and long-term care guidelines as it relates to COVID. Now, I know that over most of the last 3 years, we've had to put all of our focus on COVID and our COVID response. You all did incredible work to keep people safe while also navigating the tension between that duty to safety and our commitment to rights, choice, and the dignity of risk. There's been some compromise and some difficult decisions along the way. But now is the time to revisit and recommit to quality in all aspects of our work as we address people's physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health, honor their rights, and support each person to live their best lives. It is a privilege to support another person. And so in each service area, you can expect conversation and work related to quality, what it is, how we measure it, and what it looks like in real life for the people that we're supporting. Doing this work and doing it well means bringing compassion and kindness and skill with you every day into the workplace. So I'm really excited about those very important conversations that are coming up. I think that's the end of the list that I wanted to share with you today. So thank you for listening. And now is a great time to open up for questions. And Jen, as always, I'll look to you for some help in moderating this section of the agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. We've had a couple of questions that came in throughout the town hall, and some of them have been answered, but I just want to also confirm that I'm understanding the answers. So the first one was about when the library/book fair would reopen in the cafe. And Sarah talked about Christy sort of keeping that on her radar, but then somebody else said it actually opened yesterday. So just curious, can anyone confirm whether it's open? I should have run out and looked while you were talking. You can confirm Christy has approved opening. Okay, so there we go. So it is opening, so that's great news. Another one of those pandemic things that we can get back to, which is exciting. There was a question that came in, Debbie, for around the case management presentation, wondering about the number of social workers that you're hiring, and is 20 the number that you're starting with, and will that increase as you're taking in that maximum number of families, or is that how the caseload will be distributed amongst the 20?
Right, so we're starting with less than 20, but we will get to 20 by the end of the year. The caseload sizes will be the same as what CDS currently has. That's what we've been funded at. So that's up to about 120 per caseworker. The number, I know people jump at the number 2 or 3,000. That also includes families who don't want to close to CDS, but don't need services right now. So that accounts for part of those numbers. And as to whether we'll get new staff in the future, that would be, I guess, depending on what negotiations we can work out as things move along and as more people get diagnosed.
Thanks, Debbie. There was a question for Mel around whether the MSNA is only in Gold Care. Is that the only place to access it?
I think that there's paper versions of all of those tools available, and certainly I could help you locate some different versions and maybe even some different ideas on things you can do with all of those tools. I believe the intention is to file them in Gold Care. So if you were a staff and you were looking like, where can I find these tools? That's where we would want to house them, so that as people maybe move from site to site, if they're working in multiple locations, they just know where to find that kind of stuff. But yeah, for sure, if you're looking for those, just send me an email. Happy to connect and help you with that.
Great, thanks. And then there's a question about the visitor parking. So you may have noticed if you've been on site here at 440 River Road that part of that first parking lot is being used by the construction folks to have their trailer and to park vehicles and things. So it's no longer accessible during the construction. And so the question is, will the visitor parking in the main parking lot match the Toonie lot price due to that construction taking up part of that parking lot? And so I don't know if, I know Dawn is here with operations, or I don't know if we've had this conversation or if it's a conversation we want to take away.
It's honestly something I'm probably gonna have to take away. I don't know if we can, I don't know if is it a meter out there that would have to be changed? So yeah, I'll have to take that one away.
Yeah, but
See if
thanks
it's a
for asking
possibility.
that
Yeah, no, it's a
question.
good, it's a good question.
Yeah, great. Okay, great. Julia is promoting again the opportunity to volunteer next Saturday at Falcon Lake. Apparently it's a very good time. There's a question about the water fountains and water bottle filling stations. So they've been made available in the main building, and just wondering when staff will have access to water bottle filling stations or water coolers in locations outside of the main building.
Yeah, you want me to take this too, Jen?
I think so. Is that
Okay. Well, I'll tell you from my perspective too, I noticed that like I know some program areas do have water coolers. Those aren't ideal. So one of the things that I've done, because I felt like the water bottle filling stations were kind of lacking, we only have in the main cafeteria area. I'm applying for the green grant to hopefully get some. We have an older building, so infrastructure is a bit of an issue because it requires plumbing and electrical. So it is quite costly to put in water bottle filling stations. But we're gonna try, see where we get. It is something on my list of to-dos for future planning, but we'll try the grant first.
okay? Sounds good. I wonder too if that was related to like the autism classrooms at other locations, or like the water coolers at Moore, maybe. I don't know if we would do the water bottle filling stations there as well.
No, we wouldn't install those in a lease space, but again, just in our own space, we would look at it. But yeah, if a particular program area, I guess if it's something they want to explore, by all means.
Okay, great. And so if there's any follow-up questions, you can connect with Dawn on the water situation. And then there's a couple questions about plugins. So there's one about wondering about plugins for visitor parking, and then another one about will we be marking the spots for electric vehicles? There's currently just a few spots where electric vehicles can plug in, and they're often filled.
So again, this was something that we were exploring. I guess it depends on the vehicle. Like every vehicle, I think, is a little bit different on what they require for plugins. And I'm by no expert on electric vehicles and what their needs are by any stretch of the imagination. But we can continue to investigate and see what would be required. I think this is going to be something we're going to need to look into more in the future for sure. So it is something that's on our radar in facilities and operations.
Great. You're just in the hot seat today, Dawn. Okay.
It's all good.
There's a question about remote and hybrid work. Will things continue on as they are? And so I can give a little bit of an update. I'm working with a team on the Future of Work project for St.Amant. And so we did survey people who are currently working hybrid or remotely. We also surveyed managers to talk about, you know, how that's feeling for them. And I think that there's what we're learning is that what we need to do is engage and have lots of conversations around how people want to work in the future. And I think from the executive team's perspective, we're open to, you know, having those conversations and really sort of working and looking forward in an employee-centered way to make sure that we're, you know, offering the best possible work environment. And so what I would say around that is stay tuned, because we will be reaching back out very soon to have more conversations, and likely within like more focus group settings. So rather than a survey, where we can have conversation and sort of drill down into some of those responses. So then, yeah, there's a question about whether there's been discussion about hybrid or in-person with virtual options for the next town hall. We have not had that conversation. But it's funny because the town hall today, as I was driving in, I was thinking that very thing. So I think it's time to have that conversation. I wonder, Laura, not that I want to put you on the spot, but are you able to like whip up a quick poll? Because it would be kind of fun to do a poll as to whether people would prefer an in-person town hall or a hybrid town hall or a fully remote. So I don't know if that's possible. If it's not, maybe we can just pop your preference into the chat. That's an option as well. But Laura, I don't know if you can let me know if that's possible or not. Any plan to fix the leaking roof in the cafe? Dawn? I didn't know the roof.
So facilities roofing is always a hot topic, especially in the older buildings with flat roofs. So we do have quite a few on the list that are in need of repair. I'm not sure if Kate is on, but she can maybe speak to actually what's been approved and what's being fixed right away here. Is the latest with the WR. So all of our requests for roofing replacements, just so you know, go through WRHA. They're funded that way. So yeah, sorry, Kate, to put you on the hot seat, but it's just if you want to
no, not at all.
give
It's
a little
exciting to
brief
talk
of what
about it,
is
and I
coming
think
up and
especially
what's to come. Yeah.
as spring arrives too, I think it's important to talk about it for sure. So we have a couple of ways that we're looking at fixing that roof. And so we have received funding to fix the portion that's causing that main leak that you're seeing. So I got the tender yesterday for review. So that's exciting. It means the team's working quickly on it, and we should be able, our goal is to get it done as quickly as possible. So we are working on it. We're ready to put out a bid in the coming weeks, which should be a fairly straightforward process. So you should see some action there soon, which I think everybody would be really looking forward to. And then we have applied for some grant funding to fix the skylight as well. So that's kind of taking a secondary measure to make sure that the space that you get to enjoy that you're seeing that's leaking will stop leaking. So, we tried for a number of years to get funding from the WRHA for that. So it looks like we would anticipate being approved for that, but I just want to put it out there that we've kind of taken 2 levels to see if we can stop that. So I hope that answers your question. And I hope that's some good news for everybody, because I know that's been weighing on all of us. So, yeah.
Thanks for that, Kate.
Yes, very much. Thanks, Kate.
Okay, through the miracle of technology, I believe that there is a poll available. So if we can launch the poll now, and we can take a little temperature check on where we want the next town hall. I feel like I should play some Jeopardy waiting music, although I won't subject you to that. So I'll just try to fill the awkward silence as we wait for the poll results to come in. I did just see like a little note pop up from one of my colleagues on Teams that said that my lighting is spectacular today, which if you were early on the call, you will have been a part of the conversation where I don't know why I'm blue today, but I don't feel blue. Okay, do we have any results to share? Okay, so we've got, well, I never know if I'm going to be able to save these, so I'm just going to take a little picture of the screen. Okay, so in person 18%, hybrid 48%, virtual 34%. Well, nobody's making it very clear or easy for us to decide, but we have the results and we will talk about it and see what we think we can make possible. So that's great. Thank you. Okay, so there was a question here, and I'm not sure if maybe it's a combination of people who can help answer it. So whether it's Pearl or Peter or Amanda. And so it's about the increase to minimum wage that is coming up, or increase in minimum starting wage, sorry. Will those of us that are past that wage be compensated and increased as well? It might also just be too early for us to know, but Amanda's saying yes, too early.
That's what I would think. It's just I don't think we have quite enough information to answer that yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so I don't know if Amanda, if you've received anything. I did hear that Jason Lacasse would be sending a memo to all of the organizations sometime today with some more detail about that budget announcement. So I'm not sure if that's come through, but I think there's going to be a couple of weeks of like sort of information gathering and trying to figure out what this is all going to look like. Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Maybe I'll just take a minute to share that I had the great honor of being at the budget yesterday, and I was in the stakeholder lockup with all the other organizations who have a vested interest, and was there with Margot from Abilities to support her. And if you go back and watch the budget, if you haven't already, and if you're nerdy like me and you really like that kind of thing, whenever they make an announcement of increased funding, everyone cheers. And so there's a lot of announcement cheering is kind of how it goes. But the thing that was really exciting for us was that when they made the announcement about the increased funding for the disability sector, everyone stood up. There was like a standing ovation in the house, and like I think the longest applause. So anyways, we were all like cheering and excited, you know. So anyways, it's fun if you want to go watch it. Oh yeah, Ibukun, we didn't talk about the survey. Did you want to talk about it, or did you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so Ibukun has been working with the Shared Health on their strategy to eliminate racism. I'm not even sure if that's exactly what that group is doing, but it's something sort of similar to that. And one of their first steps is to do a racial climate survey. And so we've been lucky enough to be included in this survey. And so we're just finalizing that survey and doing a little bit of testing, and likely like just after spring break, early in April, that survey will be sent out to all staff at St.Amant. And so we really need every single person who works for St.Amant to fill out this survey so that we can get a really good understanding of how people are feeling within the work environment here at St.Amant. And that's in order to give us a baseline, because we haven't done this survey in the past, but the goal is to do it every couple of years. So once we receive those results and have a baseline indicator of how we're doing, then we can have some strategies to improve. so that when we resurvey in a couple of years, we'll be able to see whether or not we've made any progress. So it's really important, the more people that fill it out, the more realistic understanding we'll have of how everyone within our work environment is feeling about, you know, safe, included, an equitable work environment. Ibukan, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so thanks everyone. The survey the plan is to have it every 2 years, and it's been tested out, and it will take between 10 to 15 minutes, so it is nothing that is big. What we've done so far in the last, I'll probably say 7 months planning this, is to roll it out across the SDOs, service organizations. So eventually we think it's better to pull St.Amant out so that we can customize our own and then have something that we can say, this is coming from St.Amant, so that we don't want to share the report from, let's say, WRHA, where St.Amant is just a percentage in WRHA, where we belong. So now, for all the SDOs, it's been rolled out, they're doing theirs now, but we plan that our home will come sometimes, like JR said, around April. So it's been tested out again. It's easy to do. I say thank you to those that helped us with the testing in St.Amant. I really appreciate that. So that's much I can say for now. If there's anything, I think before then there will be some form of campaign, some form of, we don't know the strategy to do yet, but I'll leave that to JR. There'll be some communication around it, and we really request leaders to help us to support this so that we can know that, yes, we have information coming out from St.Amant. Thanks.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, there'll definitely be lots of communication and sharing of information when the survey comes out. Thank you. Okay, there was a question about how the contracts are coming with CRP. So those would be the union contracts.
So Jen, that's a great question. I mean, we need to be careful, I'm sure you'll understand, about speaking too much about the details of negotiations publicly. All I can say is that there was a meeting just yesterday, and there continues to be dialogue between the union and management. And all of us want the same thing, which is a fair contract that recognizes the importance and the skill associated, inherent in the work that our employees do.
Okay. So I got a message asking to plug the active offer training. This is what happens. You plug one thing and then I'm going to get like all these direct messages. So there is active offer training that is new, and it's just launched. And as everybody likely knows, we're a designated bilingual organization, English and French. And so part of being a designated bilingual organization is making it really easy for people to access services in the language of their choice. And one of the ways that we do that is by saying hello, bonjour, and making that active offer to people when they first connect with our organization. So if you're in a role that has initial contact with people, this training should be like #1 on your list to take. And for everybody else, it's equally important to take this training so that if you are one of those people or you happen upon someone who's new to our organization, you can make that offer. And so the training will explain how to do that and why it's important. So I encourage everyone to take it. Kim has wished all the women on the call happy International Women's Day, which I would love to echo. Happy International Women's Day. So then there was a question around which union you were talking about, Ben, I think.
I was referring to MGEU Community, because that's the union representing staff in the CRP, but the same spirit would apply to our negotiations with all of our unions.
Great. And then Melanie has linked that training, I believe.
Yeah, I put the link for the e-learning course in the chat, and it is our first e-learning course that's available fully in French. So you can do the whole thing through in French if you want. So we're very excited.
Oh, that's exciting for someone like me. I can practice my French without having to talk to anybody. Juliet is sharing, 4 families supported by St.Amant will be part of the 2023 Dreams Take Flight next month. So they will enjoy a whirlwind day at Disney World. For anyone who doesn't know, the Dreams Take Flight is the one that is like that 24-hour kind of situation. You leave crazy early in the morning, you spend the whole day at Disney World, and then, or Disneyland, Disney World, and then you're home like by the next day, and you probably are like, I don't even remember what happened, but excited that 4 families supported by St.Amant get to take part. Okay, can we plug the DM vote priority survey? This is what I'm saying. I'm telling you guys, as soon as you plug one thing, but this is, everything is important. So Disability Matters vote, there is a priority survey. So Disability Matters vote is led by Abilities Manitoba and Barrier Free Manitoba. And so Abilities usually has a priority that, you know, kind of just makes its way in. Barrier Free has a priority. It's to implement the accessibility standards. But the other priorities are potentially changing this year. And so they really want to hear from everyone. What is important to the disability community? What should be a part of the campaign? And this is really important because like every single, like all of the parties and every single candidate fills out their commitment to those priorities. So as voters, we can look at like, what do all the parties think about these things? And then I can go to my constituency and see what do the representatives who are running in my area think about these priorities, what's their commitment. So the priorities are really important. So share the survey, fill out the survey, promote it, share it on your social media, do what you gotta do. Is there anything else I can promote for anyone? Today is like open season on promotion. I'm not gonna guarantee it's gonna happen all the time. Oh, St.Amant Foundation is supporting 20 people to take part on the red carpet movie premiere of Champions this Friday. That's super fun. I hope there's gonna be a lot of pictures. Any other questions, comments? I'll do my own promotion. I really hope everyone comes out tomorrow between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. at the Tavern United. I just am like so incredibly amazed by the disability community and everybody's willingness to just like continue to advocate year after year after year. And it's like every single one of you and your personal commitment and the time that you take to write letters, make phone calls, visit your MLA. Like so many people who reached out to me like, oh, I sent this note and now I have a meeting with my MLA. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like the amount of time that everyone collectively has spent is what has made this significant announcement happen. So everyone deserves to celebrate. All the people we support, families, volunteers, staff. I hope that like everyone can come to the Tavern United tomorrow between 4 and 7 and the Tavern United on Pembina. And I believe that Minister Squires will be dropping by to say hello. So it'll be really nice to see her and be able to say thank you as well.
Thank you all for all the great questions. And I love all of the plugs for all the different things that are happening across the organization. And I also love that across all of these, sort of spontaneous end of the meeting promotions, there is still that theme of making things better for people, right? Like there's something, special that binds us all together, and the things that you're sharing today just really drive that home. We've got 7 more minutes. I'm happy to invite you to take that time to, find whatever 7 minutes of peace you need in your day to carry on through the rest of the day. But I don't want to close things off in case anyone has any final questions, comments, or promotions they'd like to share with us. Last chance. All right. Well, thank you all very, very much. It's always a joy to spend this time with you. And I wish all of you a great rest of the day.